Send a powerful message to those people who live in the past and tell them no more business as usual and no more repeat performances because we're going to make America great again.
Hey everyone, welcome once again to yet another episode of Two Noobs Talking. Of course, with me is someone who's totally not afraid of getting down and dirty, whether it's a foxhole, a rabbit hole, you name it. John Tracy. John, how you doing, man? What's going on tonight, brother?
Thank you for the introduction, sir.
Happy you're there, of course, brother, in Texas. Of course, Matt Craig, and like all things, just happy to be along for the ride, ready to rock and roll. And of course, we're really happy you're with us. John, can you believe we've hit episode 45 of Two Noobs Talking tonight? That's crazy, right? I mean, that's just unbelievable.
We did 45 twice, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll never see that episode.
45. I mean, any numbers come to mind, do you think, off the top of your head?
Pedro. El Pedro.
Yeah.
My favorite pitcher ever.
Yeah.
I think he literally is my favorite pitcher ever.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
I love Pedro. Like in a way that a Phillies fan should not love a Met, Red Sox.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and Philly also, but I'm just saying, like,
Nice.
I love him a little bit too much to be a Phillies fan.
That's awesome, though. He was only here, I think, for the 1 year, right? If I remember correctly. Yeah, I think it was like 2009, I think.
There's some great stories. If you talk to people around town, I got to see him around town a lot because I lived in the city at that time.
Nice.
He was great with his old man shtick with Jamie Moyer. The old men are going to win you guys another title. He's such a magnetic person. I love him to death.
Speaking of another beautiful pitcher, how about Tug McGraw? I mean, I know you and I were like, probably in our, 3-4 years old. You were 2, I think. I was 4 or something like that when they first won the championship in '80.
Cheering.
But what a great, I mean, my God, one of the greatest relievers, and always would do that, kind of give the heart attack, and all that. It was great. I mean, he was just a wonderful pitcher.
He was a better sportscaster too. Great player, better sportscaster.
I
loved it growing up, like having him do sports.
Yeah.
And my parents were big Channel 6 fans, so we were always Channel 6. There was no 3 or 10, for us. Yep. I remember, like, he made me want to. He's one of kind of the guys that made me want to talk for a living.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the coming of the Two Noobs podcast is very. It has a lot of Tug McGraw in it.
Has a lot of talk in it.
Real, not pulling any punches. Like he delivered sports well.
It was really good. Yeah, he really spoke well and carried himself really well, and it was a natural fit too. Everybody
good looking gentleman too.
Yeah,
just a great guy.
Dude. Yeah. I think there's like one other guy that just came to my mind was Aaron Asham. I remember watching the 2010 run, and he scored like a couple of key goals for the Jersey, against the New Jersey Devils, and that was pretty much it. But yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Aaron Asham's a player. I wonder if he's a minus or a plus player. That's just
look that up later.
Hey Steve, if you want to, where did Aaron Asham play? Did he play on the Islanders or not? Good question.
Throw that out there. Okay. So, John, we got a lot to get to, right? I mean, we got a really good article, really, on what we think is going to be not necessarily centered, but we got a close friendship decline that we're going to look at that a little bit closely, comparing a couple of different. I think one is like a Gallup poll, and another is like a survey that was done in May. I'm going to take a look at that. We got Joe Rogan. We don't have him on the podcast, but we're going to look at a beautiful comment he made on really freedom and against the dictatorships that we're starting to see with the CDCs and the vaccines and all this other stuff. And then, of course, we're also going to be looking at that cockwobble up in New York State who got taken down a notch. Or was it 2? Or maybe it was 3 notches. Or more.
Or just 1.
Or just 1. Yeah, one big notch.
Because he ran away with his tail between
like a chicken. Like what he did, yeah. But first, John, let's take a look at this on screen, and it's Wikipedia's founder stating that he doesn't trust Wikipedia anymore.
This is my favorite piece.
This is really amazing, right? You're looking at it. It's from the UK Independent.
Mm-hmm.
It's Larry Sanger. He invented Wikipedia, put it on the internet, and made the mistake of making it editable, I guess you could say, for anybody in the world to do. And now the fruit of the labor is coming back, and it's like, you know what? I don't really trust this, right? What's your thought process on this, Johnny?
It's so weird because Wikipedia is a great idea, but it's funny because making it editable, not editable. We're not eating it, we're editing it. Making it that way is what science and research is all about.
Yeah.
Adding to it.
Yeah.
But the problem with making Wikipedia is in the time that we are living in, you don't want to make anything. Like, you almost don't want to have a YouTube channel with comments on because there's trolls.
Yeah, exactly. There's always going to be something wrong. And that person then has the ability to make the change, and that change could be wrong. You know, that kind of a deal.
Let me tell a quick story because I think it's funny. So when we had our little blow up of like 700 views, right?
Yep.
We got 60 likes from that view. We got 1 dislike. I said it to my son. I was like, hey, we got 1 dislike. He's like, hey, there's always a guy. Like that generation is way more prepared for that than we are.
Yeah,
but that's
exactly. Yeah.
Like Wikipedia would be good for their generation because they're not full of BS.
Yeah.
But for the generations and the political generations, the millennials and the
Gen Xers,
Gen X and all that, the battling constantly, Wikipedia is a bad idea.
Yeah, it really is.
You know that there's more trolls than there are good people on the internet.
Oh, 100%.
They
and I think that's
us like 10,000 to 1.
I mean, we grew up with the Encyclopedia Britannica. We grew up with Dewey Decimal Systems, and now it's just like you could pull it up on your smartphone and just look it up, and it's right then and there. But again, it all kind of goes back. I think with Sanger, you look at the piece, he kind of like pulls it up here, and I have it just right here on my notes. Mr. Sanger cited the example of an article about U.S. President Joe Biden and says it didn't include information from the Republicans' perspective. Yeah. Larry Sanger saying this, Johnny. This is unbelievable. This is a quote directly from him. Quote, the Biden article, if you look at it, has very little by way of the concerns that the Republicans have had about him. So if you want to have anything remotely resembling the Republican point of view about Biden, you're not going to get it from the article in Wikipedia. And basically, it's like, he argued that there should be at least a paragraph about the Ukraine scandal.
Burisma? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Burisma, all kind of stuff.
Even proved not wrong, it was a thing. So
exactly.
It definitely should be brought up.
Exactly. Yeah, and that I think is important from a historical perspective. This is a red flag. This is not a political knock. Maybe there is a little bit of that, but
I mean, I'm not saying he's guilty or innocent.
Yeah.
But Burisma does exist, and he's absolutely right. It should be in there.
Yeah.
It exists. There was an AG fired.
Yep.
During
the Ukrainian AG.
Biden, during the Obama Biden administration was fired on behest of Joe Biden because of blah blah. It's all, you can get it all, and Hunter Biden worked for the company in which was being investigated.
Yeah.
It's not nonsensical. And he's literally right. 1 paragraph is fine because we haven't had the findings because we haven't had
footnote that and stick that in.
Yeah. You can at least put there was a scandal.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be a criminal
investigation or something along those lines. Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right.
We don't have a Justice Department that wants to investigate anything. We already learned this year.
Yeah,
and moving forward with Joe Biden, we're probably not going to have one.
No,
and
exactly.
Trump didn't have a really good one either.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
He kind of wrapped up this corruption thing before there was an election.
Exactly. But I mean, it just goes to show you just the importance. I mean, I think it just from a journalistic perspective, with that argument with Ukraine, right? That's what's so important. If you don't have that in there, it's like, well, who else is going to know about it? Wait a minute, we've got to have that in there. It is a part of history. Just because somebody doesn't like it doesn't mean that you disregard it. That might be something we could probably put out there to Facebook and Twitter. Just saying, if you don't like it, just leave it and let people decide what to have happen.
I think that's absolutely the most valid point that I've heard on that subject with the Ukraine thing. Like, it's just like I applaud you. Like that's all. No, that's literally that. Like if you disagree with me, I still said it.
Yeah, exactly.
End of story.
Exactly. And it's up to you to make that decision. All about personal, thinking about like critically thinking. It's like, you better back up what you say, that kind of a deal. And, if you don't, then it's kind of like, well, it's just floating out there, that kind of deal. It's always under scrutiny. And that should be in there, I think, for Biden.
Agree.
Yeah.
Which is a great segment of cashing receipts on asses.
Gosh.
Bring this one up, Matt.
Topic number 2. The Joker has been taken down. The cockwobble has been taken down a couple of different pegs. But not without a fight, of course. He was going out there kicking and screaming.
Whatever.
But my goodness gracious, Andrew Cuomo, you're a scumbag. You deserved to be let go so long ago. So long ago.
He should have been impeached on the nursing homes and the sexual assault. But he ran away before the nursing homes got to him. And that is corruption, ladies and gentlemen, at its finest.
At its finest.
That is the Fab Five at its finest.
Yeah.
You're just going to step down on, during the investigation, I don't want to be a distraction. So the people... Dude, you're
meanwhile, he wins Emmys for like his press conferences. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Reelected. B, you're a scumbag on so many levels that I don't even know how to address you at this point.
Yeah.
You ran away with your tail between your legs. You are the antithesis of scummy politics.
100% agree with that.
Good on you. You outdid your fucking father, who was a fucking terrible human being.
Yeah, exactly.
Good job.
His clincher was his quote, Johnny. The best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing. Andrew Cuomo, 2021. How noble of this jackass. I'm going to put up here, warning, sarcasm. I'm just going to put that up there on our screen. Sarcasm alert right here. How noble of this guy to step down, this dictator from on high, and say, you know what, I'm just going to do the right thing, even though he's been pressured by his entire Democrat Party and everybody in the entire state.
Even Biden, who might not treat women nicely.
Yeah, exactly.
Putting that out there.
I just might have put that out there. Exactly. I heard that on Al Mohler today on the briefing. It was like, are you kidding me with this? What was amazing to me too, Johnny, I don't know if you saw this in reading throughout all of this, 28% supported the guy. Now, that's 1 in 7. I think if I'm doing the math right, that's a little bit more than 1 in 4 people. Let's just say like 1 in 4 minimum. Yep, that's my governor.
And end the story. We'll end it like we always do in Two Noobs Talking. That's a special kind of stupid.
Exactly.
Back in Cuomo at this point, really. Like, I don't think anybody backs Cuomo. They might have just been shocked and got a question.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, I don't know anything that's going on.
Yeah.
I'll support him. He's the governor. But there's at least 100,000 that did that.
Yeah, so exactly.
The real number is probably 12%.
I wonder. I would really hope that number would go down, because it starts to think like, if you're talking even just 1 million people, let's just say if you're talking in Buffalo, there's about I don't know if there is 1 million people in Buffalo, but just hypothetically, 250,000 minimum, 280,000 minimum are supporting the guy.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Yeah,
I would love for a Cuomo supporter to contact us.
Yeah, I would too.
I would love. I really want to have fun with you. I really want to hear all that, bro. I've got 900,000 pages of crap on this dude. Like,
I love this too, from Breitbart.
I wasted a lot of my life on this jerk.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
so
we've been calling for him.
From a Cuomo supporter.
We started Two Noobs in October, Johnny. I think we started like bashing Cuomo. When was it? Like in the winter? Had to have been like December, January.
It was easily the first or second episode. I think Cuomo wasn't good enough at that time to make the first episode. So he made the second episode.
Probably. And I love this from.
Remember when the Fab Five was? When was the Fab Five created?
Oh God, I think that was probably episode 4 or 5. We'll have to look back on that. But
Yeah,
here's the thing, too, John. I wanted to get your thoughts on this because this is coming from Breitbart.com. It was later reported Cuomo aides, quote, rewrote a report from state health officials to hide 9,250 Chinese coronavirus deaths in nursing homes and long-term care facilities. Of course, we've covered that.
We covered that article. That's literally, I forget what episode. I think it was like 39 or 40.
Yeah. We went through that whole report.
So it was probably right.
All that.
39.
Here's the thing, though. I think her name was Michelle DeRosa. I forget her first name right, I'm not sure. But DeRosa apologized. Now, get this. For withholding data from Democrat state legislatures as being political missteps.
Yep. Great quote. Isn't that a great quote?
Political missteps. Sarcasm alert. I'm just going to throw this out here right now. Political missteps. Really. Life and death is a political misstep, John.
Mm-hmm. To these jackasses, that is.
I
mean,
I don't even know what to say about that. That is so utterly ridiculous, right? At the end of the day.
Here's my problem. Like, I would like to be proper and decadent and speak about people, but when you make a quote like that, you're a piece of trash. And I don't feel the need. I feel the need to just pop off here and be happy and be like, you're an idiot or you're a scumbag. Because I don't care about your life, because obviously you don't care about other people's lives. So why do I care about your life?
Why do I care about your life? Exactly.
Pretty simple. I mean, humanity's pretty easy.
Right? Unfortunately it is. Yeah. I mean, it goes on further here. After reports surfaced in February, of course, we covered that Cuomo was intentionally hiding these numbers. The governor's office explained that he was withholding the truth to prevent then President Donald Trump's administration from using the data to launch a politically motivated attack. Cuomo then blamed the toxic political environment and disinformation from the revised numbers. Isn't it one half a dozen of the other? I mean, come on, that's like both sides of the same coin here. What the heck is happening with this guy?
But it means, so if you're going to say, if he's going to make that quote, right?
Yeah.
That means, okay, so we know Donald Trump is a little far righter than we want to reach.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying not for everybody, but for us on this, a little far reach. So you got to set Cuomo up at the exact same spot.
Yeah.
So he's a leftist.
Mm-hmm.
And Trump's a rightist. So what is happening is they're killing people just to make their points. That's the way you can look at it. If you want to look at it,
that's a shame.
If you want to look at it politically, legitimately, so Trump made a strong move, right, with the coronavirus, going against Dems. He used to be a former Dem. I know what he did. He made a push to expose these people, and what they did is they killed people to make him look bad. Yeah. That's who's worse at that point.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a great point. That is really such a, and you know what? And I think your point, again, broadly stated, is so well stated too. People's lives are in danger with these knuckleheads that on both sides of the aisle that they cannot see their political ideology. I made the point, I think it was a couple weeks ago. They can't see their political ideology in front of their face. Like, it is so bad that they cannot see the forest through the trees. I mean, it is. And that is a huge problem. That's a huge problem in politics.
That's my favorite quote of all time.
Yeah.
That is literally my favorite quote all time. If you don't look it up, if you don't know what it is, because it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's the greatest quote for humanity ever.
You're so blind that you can't see the big time forest that's in front of you. That's the
or behind you, or around you.
Or behind you, or in front of you, or around you. Yeah, exactly.
That's one of the greatest. I think I heard that quote when I was like 13 years old, and I was like, "That's mine. I like that. That's what how I'm gonna look at life. Like, I'm gonna judge everybody on whether they can see the forest or the trees."
You know what? Also, one thing too, before we wrap this whole thing up with Cuomo, Johnny, the phrase, "Well, I apologize if you were offended," is I want to. Okay.
I'm offended that you spoke.
Exactly. I'm offended that you even came up with that as your apology. That is not an apology. Can we please stop saying, "I apologize if you were offended"? No, you offended the people that you offended. Yes. So therefore, you apologize and say, "I am sorry. I will never do that again." That's an apology.
Let me loose real quick. Just on this. This is simple. Why not just apologize to the women that you groped?
Yes.
Made rude comments to? Why are you apologizing to me because you're a scumbag and you hurt somebody?
Exactly.
You're apologizing to them.
Yeah.
I hope they sue you. I hope they all sue you.
I do too. I hope they all
God, I
get
hope.
this guy. Yeah, for the criminal that he is. Because if he thinks this is over, no.
No, it shouldn't be at all. He
no.
needs to get sued by New York City for perpetrating a governor by using funds to get a lawyer team in the original. Like he needs to go to jail for the nursing home death. He needs to go to jail 10 times over.
Oh yeah,
he's a scumbag.
Like he's got to have like life sentences, and we're not. And again, warning, sarcasm alert. But I mean, seriously, it is.
No, he needs it.
He should be criminally prosecuted for what he did in his state. He hid deaths, actual deaths that took place in nursing homes. He put COVID positive patients, and he put COVID positive patients in nursing homes with people that are elderly, John. You know, that had maybe had comorbidities, who had, you know, were suffering from Alzheimer's. He killed off grandma and grandpa. That is a criminal, and he should be fully prosecuted under law. 100%.
All along while sexually assaulting people.
Yeah.
He's a winner. You grow up to be like Cuomo.
Winner, chicken dinner, I guess. But, I mean, yeah,
scumbag.
loser. Loser,
Yeah, I'm done.
scumbag, done. You know, that kind of deal. It's just
I'm done with it.
unbelievable.
I got it all off my chest. I'm ready to go.
Love it. Well, let's move on to topic 3, Johnny. Yeah. Which, by the way, that was the greatest nickname you came up with him. I love that, by the way.
I like the Fab Five, too.
Let's talk topic 3 here. Let's talk a little vaccine hesitancy. Yeah. Since that seems to be so much prevalency in the news here. Obviously, you know, I made a mistake last week. It was pointed out to me that I had the incorrect data. 50 into 100,000 times 100% gives you the actual percentage. My fault on that. Thank you very much, Steve Murray. Appreciate you.
Well, that's why he's there. He's Two Noobs lawyer.
Exactly.
Also co-host.
Exactly. Knowing the numbers, I should have done that already in my head. But anyway.
Well, we cash receipts on numbers, so we should probably.
Exactly.
Matt would yell at me if I got one wrong. By the way, he would browbeat me. No, he wouldn't.
I don't know about that. But anyway.
He would not.
This is an interesting This is an interesting opinion piece. Now, John, this blew my mind. It's from the Washington Post, right?
I know. Weird.
How did this make the Washington Post?
I mean, they produced
seriously.
They produced Tony Kornheiser and Mike Wilbon.
Yeah.
Enough said. I don't need to say anything else other about the Washington Post than that. That's it.
Yeah, I know. They produced the old man and the racist.
I'm folding my hands while you talk about this. That's my only point.
This is unbelievable because, I mean, this is an absolutely stunning piece. It was written by Mark Thiessen, who's an opinion columnist here. And
I've read a couple things. He's actually really, his opinion pieces are great.
Yeah.
He gives a real clear world perspective. Not all of them are great, but there a couple of them were. I love
it. I loved it. It was a perfect 30,000-foot view of what's happening.
How did he get a job at the Washington Post?
I know. It's stunning with this. But I mean,
do me a favor. Beat up Tony Kornheiser if you get a chance. Please.
Yeah, seriously. Just like trip him up. But his main point in the opinion piece is stop harassing the unvaccinated. And, you know, the tendency, of course, and I think the bigger, broader issue with this, before we get into the Washington Post thing, right, is like you're starting to see segregation of camps, which is not good. It is not good to have vaccinated people and unvaccinated people.
Yeah. It's how communism happens. It's the first step in communism. Useful idiots.
Yeah, exactly.
Useful idiots. That is your first step in communism.
Yeah. And
100%.
That's a huge issue. And it's like the idea of personal responsibility should be first and foremost on everyone's minds. Really, when it comes to a pandemic, it's, you know, not only just from a critical thinking perspective, but from a health perspective. You have to know and what's right for you and your family and you and your own body. And the idea that Mark is writing here is like, don't harass the unvaccinated. Basically, and I love his first paragraph, is basically summarizing a quote from Arthur Brooks, who was the American Enterprise Institute president, saying, if you insult, this is Art Brooks saying this, quote, if you insult someone with whom you disagree, the odds are greater than 3 to 1 that the person will harden his own views against your position. Mm-hmm. That's a gold mine quote, John. What do you think about that?
That goes with everything because, to be honest with you, most human beings don't know how to have a grown-up conversation.
Yeah. You see that on Facebook.
I mean, that goes me, you, like that goes for everybody. Not everybody is vastly educated in the world of adult conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's just because adult conversations are very simple. They're what we're doing now. Yeah. There are two different views here. We're not going to tell you what the views are. Mm-hmm. You probably know them if you watch us before. There are two different views. But there's one thing that neither of us will do is shove each other's views down our throats.
Yeah.
There's no purpose to that. Because you know why? Because there's friendship and there's other things. We have years in. Mm-hmm. And this is the thing that makes me angry about the vaccine conversation, whether you're for it or against it. Mm-hmm. It makes me mad when you try to push somebody that you love or respect. You're trying to push your views on them. This goes for everything. This is politics. This is just vaccines. The vaccine hesitancy comes from political hesitancy. That comes from organic hesitancy. That people are like, oh, the food isn't tainted, and then people that are eating organic are like, it might be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, exactly. Yeah.
There's more than one. It's just not the vaccine that is the thing. It's the thing now.
No, yeah, 100%.
You can get on Facebook. You can get an argument about anything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I prefer Marvel over DC. I bet you if I.
And I'm a DC over Marvel guy.
But that's what I'm saying. If I bet you, I'm just making it up because I don't actually care about either. But no, I do. I actually like Marvel. But but if I posted that, I would get heat. Yeah.
Yeah. You see it all the time. By the way, I
do know that I have DC Comics behind me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not talking out my ass. I understand. I like Batman a lot. But I'm just saying, like, if I posted that, I was just using it as an analogy.
Absolutely.
If I posted that on Facebook, I'd get heat.
You get heat about that. Yeah.
Not from you, but I would get heat.
He has some interesting parts. Talk about Thiessen's opinion piece here, and it's really good. It's really talking about, like, he gives some excellent statistics on how we have been doing in terms of the vaccine, rollouts and things along those lines. And it basically says what this means, after he presents all this data, is what this means is that if you are an otherwise healthy vaccinated person, you are effectively bulletproof against serious illness, knock on wood. While we should encourage unvaccinated Americans to get immunized for their own sake, they pose no real danger to the rest of us. So stop harassing them. And I was just, as I was reading this opinion, John, this is in the Washington Post, the most left of left papers that I could ever read.
You were falling all over. It was great. It was an immediate run. Because when Matt gets obsessed about something, it's like, yeah, that's totally going in. Like, there isn't even, like, I don't even read it until later. Like, I'm like, put it in topic. We're good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. One final thing.
Not anything pops you, though. That's the thing. That's what makes it so great.
Well, it's great to see.
I love when you bring these articles because not much pops you in the news.
No.
You're so used to the news. You are a lot like me. Like, nothing pops me, but I'm always looking for the third, fourth story. But nothing pops you headline-wise. I've sent you some stuff, and you're like, yeah, just status quo. You know what I mean? Like, I thought it was a big deal. Like, I just dug 8 articles into this, but Matt had already seen it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but it's really interesting too, Johnny. I was just going gobsmack over this, as you rightly pointed out. One of them was like one final point that Thiessen puts out is really just the COVID restrictions. And he says on vaccinated Americans, also reimposing COVID restrictions on vaccinated Americans also feeds vaccine hesitancy. And according to a new AP poll, 64% of the unvaccinated have little to no confidence the shots are effective against variants such as the Delta variant, as we've seen before. When in fact, he says they're highly effective. Forcing vaccinated Americans to wear masks only feeds that misperception.
It's going to make the unvaccinated be less vaccinated.
Yeah. And again, this all stems all the way back to personal responsibility, right?
Absolutely. And there are two differences between vaccine hesitancy and the media. What they're trying to do is throw them together. They're anti-vaxxers and there's anti-COVID vaxxers.
Yeah.
There are two different things. There are also people that don't believe. There's a third in there that don't believe in vaccines.
Yeah.
At all.
At all. I've run into a couple of them. Yeah.
It literally is a thing. Like haven't had them. Blah, blah, blah. So there were three, and this is the media wants to. This is what the media does so great.
They camp us out.
Yes,
the
exactly.
Separate camps.
Take the COVID one, throw it into anti-vax. You have 3 point of views now that they molded in the one, and they're like, they're the problem. Same thing with it. And the right media does the exact same thing.
Same thing.
They pull
because what do? They go after the left hardcore.
Exactly. They're not just the left, because they're attacking the middle, because middle is just the right, the middle, and the left are vaccinated just the same.
Yep, exactly.
If you take the vaccine, and this is not a personal thing, this is just my view from the media. If you take the vaccine and you do it for your child, or you do it for yourself, or you do it for your husband, and everybody's vaccinated in the house, and then grandma and grandpa are vaccinated, and everybody's vaccinated, guess what? Good on you. You're doing what you think you need to do.
Absolutely.
You would never get judgment from a normal human being.
Yeah.
But what the right media does is look at these vaccine people. They're going to spread COVID worse because blah, 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 blah. And then you got the other side going, these unvaccinated people are screwing it all up for us. That's the same thing with black and white. This is the same thing with sports, not sports. It's the media always will do it. They create this disturbance in the force, for lack of better term. I mean, why was Palpatine bad? Because he could cause he could
cause it to split. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I can't even speak at this point.
Caused the split, but he had the Senate unite, and then all of a sudden he had gets the clone army. But the one thing too that I'll say, Jim Acosta, who is a piece of trash.
Yes.
Right.
Agreed.
Said, "Oh, wait a minute. We gotta name these variants after Republican governors, just to give an example of what the media does. We got to give, this is not the Delta variant. This is the DeSantis variant. Well, you know what? There are all kinds of variants in the media. You want to avoid the Jim Acosta variant in the media as much as you possibly can.
Yes.
That if we're going to play that kind of a game, sorry, Jim, I'm not going to pay attention to something you say.
But that's what they're doing.
That's what they love to do.
They just want to. That's why the right took the COVID doesn't exist, and the left took COVID exists, and then the media
and no one gets anywhere. That's
and
the
nobody
problem.
In the middle knows what the bleep's going on, because.
So speaking of that, John, I love your segues. Topic 4, we're going to be talking a little bit about freedom and dictatorships, and we have this tremendous clip from the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, and he had on, I think it was the guy that was running Black Rifle Coffee Company. I forget his name, but I'm only going to be playing we'll have it in the show notes. This clip, it's about 15 minutes in length. We're not going to play the full clip.
Please watch the whole thing on your own time.
It's really an amazing clip from start to finish. It's been well liked. It's like over 100,000 likes already, John. I mean, some people are really. Yeah,
I love Joe Rogan. That's all that's all I'm gonna like. If you don't like Joe Rogan,
something's wrong.
You should probably check him out.
Yeah, exactly. But this is an amazing clip where he kind of just goes off on the whole thing of whether or not you should have a vaccine passport or not. So I'm going to go ahead and just play this clip after I get everything all set up, and here we go.
Where I think politicians and I would say lawmakers and government bureaucrats have a really hard time relinquishing control once they have it, because
it makes their job easier.
Good. Yeah,
makes their job easier. They can just tell you to shut the fuck up, do what I say, and you have to. You can't work anymore unless you do what I say. That's essentially what a vaccine passport is.
Right.
You can't do what you want to do unless you do what I want you to do. I mean, Don Lemon was talking about that openly on CNN.
Yeah.
Don't have a vaccine? Can't go to the supermarket. Don't have a vaccine? Can't go to work.
It's so strange that people want to say things like that. Like, that's the thing that blows me away. Why do people want to
Because they're dumb.
They're dumb.
They're dumb. They don't understand history. They don't understand
Right.
human beings. They don't understand human nature. They don't understand the history of every single country that's ever existed other than the United States. Up until 1776, every fucking country that has ever existed was run by dictators.
Right.
All of them. This is the first one where you had elected officials. This is the first experiment in self-government that actually worked, and it created the greatest superpower the world's ever known. It created the greatest cultural machine, the greatest machine of art and creativity and innovation right fucking here. And how did it do that? It did it through freedom. Because when you give people freedom, you let people do whatever the fuck they want to do, they actually find ways to succeed and grow and thrive. But as soon as you put the boots to them, as soon as you tell them, you have to do this or you can't do that, you have to listen to me, now you have a mini dictator. You have
100.
Yeah, that's
100.
just
I can't say it any better than that. And Two Noobs Talking was created through a mini dictatorship. Literally, it was.
Yeah. You got
Facebook
fed
was
up
a
one
mini
day and it was like, I'm
dictatorship.
starting this podcast.
Exactly. What did we do? We
Yeah.
spent a little bit of money.
Yep.
We got our point out because
Yep.
we couldn't get our point out.
Yeah, it was
on
getting
the
drowned
mini
out, to be honest.
dictatorship.
Yeah. It was really getting drowned out by Facebook, and nobody was really. You couldn't engage anybody on Facebook in that regard. It was pretty much everything was shot down. So it was like, okay, well, we're just going to start this and see where it goes and see where it takes us. And here we are, 45 episodes in. It's great.
But
It's
that's
crazy.
exactly what he's saying. He's
Yeah.
saying when you're given freedom,
Mm-hmm.
you will prosper. But this is the history lesson that everybody needs to understand.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything like this before it was this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to yell about how terrible this is, you haven't actually lived a life,
Yeah.
because
I thi-
we stumble and fall every day.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody fails every day, and they pick themselves up and they move
Dust themselves
forward
off.
and they become better people.
Mhm.
That is what humanity is.
Yeah.
And that's what this country is. Do we have a checkered past? Absolutely. We have a terrible past that I wish didn't exist,
Mm-hmm.
but it exists.
Yeah. And there's nothing you can do to the past because it's a canceled check and you can't go back and recash what a canceled check does. You know, it's over. It's done. But what we can do is we can have great relationships with people and get to know people and understand where they're coming from and understand where we're, that kind of thing. And, but Rogan's point is like brilliant because it's like we're getting closer and closer to a point where it's like, oh, well, I've got to have this in order to get into a restaurant. Are you kidding me? No. You take a risk. There's nothing more insulting to me personally, John, when you're being told you can't do this because there's a substantial risk involved. Well, you know what? And I'll just say like going into the office, for example, because there's COVID. There's substantial risk involved when I get into my car, start the car, and I'm looking at my cell phone instead of, looking up at the traffic. That is traveling with a substantial risk. There's substantial risk when you are walking across the street and you don't know what's coming and you get hit by a bus or a car. That is a substantial risk. There are all kinds of other substantial risks.
Going to sleep is a substantial risk.
Yeah. You could not wake up in the morning, but you could also wake up in the morning.
You got to weigh all your options.
Yeah. You could tear a knee. You could do almost, doing a sports exercise.
All right,
Whatever
knock
the
on
case.
some wood because we're just
Knock on wood. Yeah, we're not jinxing ourselves. But the
we're
point
hockey
is,
players. We're super superstitious.
the point is when you feel like you're being babysat here, and
In this country, that's weird.
like that personal responsibility is taken away from you. You kind of feel a little pissed off, and that's where I fully agree with Joe Rogan in that regard, because it's like the freedom really allows you to be creative, go outside, take risks, all that kind of stuff. And that's whether or not you're living in a pandemic world or not.
Just like he said, every country was ruled by a dictator until this one. In history, we know them all. We went to school. We took history class.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like we all know Julius Caesar was not Joe Biden, like, hey, slapstick funny guy. Like, he wasn't.
No.
Stalin was not.
Yeah.
Hitler was not.
Yep.
He wasn't, on TV trying to tell you a joke or laugh at someone or, these politicians are slapstick compared to what Fidel Castro was.
Yo, yeah.
Just ask the Cuban people. Grab any of them.
Yeah, they're trying to flee their own country for crying out loud.
Hey, just search Pitbull for 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
That dude will tell you a ton about communism. We're going. I didn't believe this. I said this to you in like 10 episodes ago. So it was like 10 weeks ago, right?
Yep.
I said that I didn't believe the media hype that we were going to communism. After hearing Joe Rogan speak for a minute, I'm afraid we are.
Yeah.
We need to pump the brakes really quickly.
Oh yeah. And I think it's important
Really
too,
quickly.
on top of what you just said, the ability to critically think is so vitally important, and that's what this podcast does. We critically think through things. We may be sarcastic a couple of times, but that's okay. We critically think through it.
And the cash receipts.
And really, critically thinking is Rand Paul questioning the NIH director about whether or not you're going to wear a mask or not, or you have to throw a mask back on after you get vaccinated. Or when, school season, we got to protect the kids. We got to make sure they're wearing a mask. Are you kidding me? There are all kinds of other studies that say that it does next to nothing. There's next to no improvement. And then there's the CDC director, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
Get him, Matt.
Rochelle Walensky was interviewed by Business Insider, John, and I would love to get your thoughts on this.
Let's go for it.
Question. Do you think that the CDC has lost a lot of public trust over the past year and a half?
Yep.
And if you do agree, is there a plan to fix that?
Nope.
Walensky's answer. I think that this country was not prepared for a global pandemic. Really? Yeah, I would think that she's right on the money there. Yeah.
By the way, that took a master's degree to say that.
Yeah. I think, this blew my mind. I think the CDC...
I'll do a better one next time.
I think the CDC was never funded or supported in a way...
Can I ask you a quick question?
Go ahead.
Okay, is it the 11 billion they had in 2020 or the 15 billion they had in 2021? I'm just asking. Just asking for a friend. I don't even want to know. I'm just asking for a friend.
I don't know. I think it might have been the 11 billion because it was the 4 billion they didn't have, for this fiscal year. So I think the 4 billion was, the money they didn't have. Yeah.
That makes sense.
The CDC was never funded or supported in a way that was necessary, nor was public health supported in a way to make this situation be successful.
I 100%.
No shit, Sherlock.
I 100% agree with that last statement.
Exactly.
Because if Fauci wasn't a friggin' idiot.
Exactly. The Riddler wasn't talking.
You know what I mean? Like, we've already said this. If Trump would have shut up, Fauci never would have existed. And we would have got a real doctor in, like the doctor we're going to have on our podcast next week.
Oh, yeah.
If he would have been speaking about this, everybody would have been settled and it would have been okay and nothing would have been bad. Yeah,
exactly. It goes further. She says, we had a completely divided country. Well, really? Really? Because this thing was entirely politicized for the last, not just this pandemic the last year and a half, but the last 4 years was politicized, and even 8 years prior to that it was politicized.
I'll take you back 25, when Rupert Murdoch and Ted Turner existed, two completely different political views. When CNN and Fox News were started in the early 90s, we knew as young people that looked up to politicians and wanted to be in politics, both of us, we knew the landscape changed.
Oh, 100%.
And iron sharpens iron and corruption sharpens corruption.
That's got to be your greatest quote ever right there.
We knew it in the 90s that this was going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It's 2021. We're at the shit show.
This is amazing too, John. She continues on with this ridiculous answer. Certainly the CDC has had its challenges. Really? Are you kidding me? and has not infrequently been the place that fingers have been pointed at in terms of how things have been handled.
Please.
But I also think we have to look at the big picture. Okay, wait a minute. We got a big picture coming, Johnny.
Can I please?
Go
It's
for it.
not the fucking plague. You need to calm the fuck down.
Love it.
Vampires are not taking over.
Zombies aren't
this
taking
is
over
the
either?
18th century. Anne Rice is not writing this. It's not. Relax.
Yeah, just calm down. But here's the thing. This is the classic administrative state answer, Johnny. The CDC
I know that's
is
why I'm
full
so
of
mad.
12,000 people and another 10,000 contractors. That's 22,000 people
22,000 people. Got it.
whose sole job is to stay up all night. This is their sole job now, to stay up all night and keep America safe.
Yeah.
You will never know their names. Well, no shit, because they're working in the government and it's difficult to find who they are.
Hold on. I gotta
Sarcasm alert. Sorry.
I gotta clear my glasses so I can see this a little bit better. What did you do? Repeat that for me, please.
The CDC is full of 12,000 people
Okay. Good.
and another
So they work
10,000
hard.
contractors whose
Okay, we
sole
got that.
job,
So 22,000. Got it.
yep, whose sole job, John, is to stay up all night. So they work 24/7. They don't go to sleep. They stay up all night.
Okay. I got a question to ask because I know the answer.
They are on the wall, John. They are on the medical wall of America.
I know the answer to this, and I'm going to ask this question. Okay, so they work. So 22,000 people work 3 different shifts. I don't think the CDC employs anybody that works 3rd shift or 2nd shift. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we as humans, we do. They don't. They're all 9 to 5
Yeah.
bleepers that work for the federal government. They are not working 3rd shift like you are.
Yeah, yeah.
Watching this podcast, waiting for them to make an assumption about something they're only doing for 8 hours a day and probably getting paid more than all of us. That is what government entities are.
Yeah,
End
exactly.
of story.
I love this too. The final quote, and I'll leave it with this, John. Some of them, so not all 22,000 people, but some.
Okay. So they're not all assholes. Got it.
So, yeah, right. Some of them were up last night, John, at a data request for me to sort of help inform what the next steps are. So, sort of help.
So what? She's the king
Well,
or the queen?
yeah, and they're sort of helping. They're
Depends
not.
what gender she has.
They're not fully helping. They're sort of helping.
Then
That's
why are
her
we-
direct quote.
Then why are we calling them? My boss would never do that.
Yeah.
He would never call me at 11 o'clock at night and then when we come to an agreement, he wouldn't go to the boss and go, John sort of helped. That's not how it works.
It doesn't work that way. Exactly.
You get full
It does
credit.
not work that way.
When you annoy someone after hours, you give them full credit.
100%. Yeah,
And
you're
the
going
CDC
above
is
and
not
beyond.
working after hours. Trust me, they are not. They have hours listed on our website. Go check them out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're not around the clock 24/7. I doubt it.
They're
I
not.
doubt it. Up
No,
all
they're
hours
not.
of the night, thinking
They're
of
not.
ways to, you know what? Oh, maybe we ought to do this, and maybe we ought
They're
to.
not. They're lying.
Well, we're sort of helping what's happening.
They're lying. That's it.
Yeah.
Literally, they're lying. They're trying to be the American. This is what the government. This is what socialism does. The government tries to be the person
Yeah.
and tell you that they work hard as you. The only problem is in a socialist republic, they don't work as hard as you,
Mhm.
and they tell you what to do.
Exactly.
That's
And
what-
that is
that's
the
how you
problem
get the
that we're
communism.
running into. Yeah.
That's your first step to communism.
Because we can start talking also too. We'll link it in the show notes as well. We have all kinds of
Of
root
FDA
calls
stuff.
on the tests, whether something was a false positive, was a false negative. Oh, we got to get rid of the test because they're not trustworthy. They're
Can we
not
talk about
helpful.
Ontario?
Say again. Go ahead.
Can we talk about Ontario?
Go
The
for it.
judge in
Yeah, throw that
Ontario?
in. Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. A judge in Ontario ruled that he can't legally say that COVID's real, so you can't lock down Ontario. Good on him.
Good
that's
on
that's
him.
the right decision because
Yeah.
if you're getting left and right movements of science, somebody, thank God, somebody, the father or the mother has to come in and tell the children to stop fighting.
John MacArthur.
Exactly.
I don't have the clip, but John MacArthur had a great message that he gave, and part of it was talking about this entire thing. Well, what happened? The flu went away. Well, how did that go away so quick? Essentially, we've always had the flu, and now all of a sudden the pandemic hits, and the flu drops 99%.
Yeah. You can go back on my Facebook. I posted the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Last year.
Something's going on. And again, we're not doing this because we are poking fun, not going to lie. But
no, I'm having fun.
We're critically thinking about this. We have to. This is not something we're just like spouting off and all that kind of stuff.
The news is getting ridiculous. That's our point.
It is.
That's our pure point. Moving on to the next thing, but that's just our pure point. Like, the news is getting ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
They're coming out in newspaper articles saying they're full of shit.
Yeah.
You've never seen this before.
Yeah, exactly.
This has never happened in news ever.
Yeah, like we were growing up, it was like it was hidden, but now they're all out in the open. The cockroaches are out there. Yeah.
Fauci literally came out the day after Barack Obama's party and said that Sturgis is the biggest COVID crisis ever. How do you look left and not right, or how do you look right and not left? Because
there was a darn near close sellout of the Phillies Mets series.
Yeah.
You know how much Citizens Bank Park holds, right?
Yeah.
Like 35, 40,000 people.
Yeah, 44, 45, something like that.
Yeah, I haven't heard of any COVID, bust outs out of there.
No, did you see how great that series was too?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Screaming, yelling, all the things that
they're jumping up and down. They're having But no, the Riddler wants to just go and continue to riddle. That's all he does. He's the Riddler now.
Yeah,
that's all Fauci is. He's not Quack. No. He's more designated. I've deemed him the Riddler now. He is the Riddler.
Did you see the greatest thing before we get on to the next? Did you see the next thing? Now Pete is going after him because he doesn't just kill humans. He kills dogs too.
Oh really? Oh wow.
Oh, that's a great article. We might need to run that on the next episode.
You're talking Wolf, right?
Yeah. A ton of funding. NIH. Just look up NIH funding. You don't even need us for this. Look up NIH funding. You can have yourself a ball. Scumbag.
It's really, terrible. Absolutely terrible. But let's transition away from that. I hope we got that out of our system. I think we did. Thank God.
Did you feel good?
Oh, I feel great. I love it. I thought we killed that thing. But anyway.
See, that's a
Topic 5.
Grading system.
Topic 5, Johnny.
Yes.
Close friendships. You and I have been. This is really amazing. We're going to just throw this up on screen. It's the Survey Center for American Life. And what you're seeing on screen is basically a combination of a survey that they took in May of 2021, and they compared it to a Gallup poll that was done in 1990. Now, I think we have links to both the Gallup poll and the survey in the show notes, so we'll be able to show that on our website. But as you can see, there is a significant decline in the number of close friends, those who report having the number of close friends, not counting relatives. So as you see, men in 1990, there was 3% that said that there was no close friends. Well, just 31 years later, that grew 5 times, 15%. Wow. And from 10 or more in 1990, it was at 40% for men. It's now down to 15% for men. For women, it's also the same thing. It's not as pronounced or bad, but it's still pretty bad. Women, it looks like it's probably less than 1%, but it's 10% in 2021.
Wow.
For women in 1990, 28% reported that they had 10 or more friends, close friends. It's down to 11. So it's very interesting in this regard. I think a lot of this, John, I would love to hear your thoughts on it. For me, I think this is everything to do with social media, I think.
I agree. No, I 100% agree. The only point I would add to it is marriage does have a toll on that.
Yeah.
Especially in this day and age where masculinity isn't as prominent as it was in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, and I'll just say for my own marriage, like growing up with growing up with a father and a mother who, my dad called the shots, my mother supported him. It's a little like I don't live the same marriage they do because they always promoted us to be better and think harder. Mm-hmm. So I think, and generational, just a little bit, like it just changing. It's how we grow.
Yeah.
You know, because I think my marriage is equal.
Mm-hmm.
I would totally say that.
Yeah.
And it's not, nobody has the power.
Yeah.
It's shared equally.
It's shared equally. Mm-hmm.
And that could contribute to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would hope that most people have that kind of relationship, but
Yeah.
But there, I mean, in the 80s, absolutely. Was it more male dominant? Well, you know that just in the salaries and what we've learned from, Hollywood and industry, that's changed. Like the feminist movement was an amazing movement.
Yeah.
So you could totally kind of link some of that to that.
I would say, yeah.
But also, like the media demasculating men didn't help.
No.
TV shows, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's why there's a decline in TV
Oh,
because
yeah.
of that.
Oh, yeah.
But I think somewhat it was a political media move. I think some of it was just feminism getting its due rights.
Kind of traction. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a feminist. I think
Wow.
I'm 100%. No, I'm 100%. Like if
but I can see that because you're married to your wife.
Exactly, but me and a woman of same stature, same blah blah blah, working the same job, she should be paid exactly the same. She'd be the same. I know a lady. I'll just tell a quick story. She works for a competitive company. I've run into her a couple times. She's awesome. She is literally like, it's like we are two peas in a pod, right? If she got paid less, I'd be absolutely. I've never asked, but I'm just saying, like,
if you found out that she was paid less,
industry standards were like right here, right? If I found that out, I would freak out.
Yeah.
Because why should that be?
Yeah.
She's a human just like I.
Yeah.
There's different in your marriage. There's different rules, regulations. I married a very submissive woman. I'm a very alpha person.
Yeah.
But we share the relationship 50-50.
50-50.
That's the thing. Like, but because there's respect there. That's
absolutely.
Relationships are important. You need respect first.
No
Everything
doubt.
else.
No doubt.
Love falls down the line
too,
at times.
Oh yeah. I think this thing too, when you start to think like I look at the survey here and it's really stunning in that regard, in the fact that I consider myself blessed to have you as a very close personal friend of mine.
Me absolutely.
Over 25 years or something like those lines. We've also been blessed with Steve Murray. Of course, we've had on the podcast before.
Love you, Steve.
I would consider him a very close personal friend
Me
as
too.
well.
Me too.
There are a couple of others also outside of, the
guys that we had on the
had.
podcast. Like Mikey Bowles is a good friend of ours.
Yeah.
Tom Hoserman's a good friend of ours.
Good guy. Yeah.
Alex
absolutely.
Page, who we're going to bring on, is a good friend of ours.
Is a good buddy. Yeah.
Mostly
exactly.
everybody that Bill McNally, like everybody that we do fantasy football I think is a good friend. I think any of them would be there in a heartbeat if we
in a heartbeat for any one of us. Absolutely.
I absolutely
Whatever it would take to kind of just bring us all together and be closer and say, hey, do you need anything? That kind of a thing. This survey concerns me not just as a guy, but as a Christian, because to me it's like, from the evangelical Christian perspective, there's been a movement, John, to kind of say, well, you're almost on your own. It's all about your personal relationship with Christ, and the word "personal" there is kind of like it's tentative because it's like it's one-on-one when we say that, and it's like yes. But you need the people around you to encourage and support you and be with you and pray for you and all that kind of stuff.
I have a question for you.
Go for it.
To elaborate on this.
Yeah, go for it.
How I can discount literally what they're saying with that. Because my quest to Christ is different than yours. But I wouldn't have it if I didn't have you.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of it. My wife also, like, if my wife would, like, I never would be in the steps that I am without the people in my life. So it isn't a personal journey at all.
Bingo. It isn't, because
but
you do need,
in a way, like Shawn Michaels, a beautiful human being.
Yeah, you want to talk about redemption.
His is very similar to mine.
Yep.
he wouldn't have done it without the people in his life.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't there's a change that happens, but you need people around you to support you.
Absolutely.
You really do.
I never would have, and I'll just tell a personal story real quick, just because
Yep.
we're talking about God, and it just seems like a point that we need to.
Go for it.
During starting this podcast and doing all that and going through work hell, moving to a place that was very new, uncomfortable. I didn't have anybody. I went through it for a while.
Oh, yeah.
COVID lockdowns. I'm moving into a new place. I got a new guy I'm working with. I wasn't sure about anything. And I remember just taking a walk with my wife. And I was heavily praying. Not the traditional praying, but I was heavily in thought.
Yeah.
And I had this wonderful feeling over me. It was like a hand on me. It was just like, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do is stop.
Yeah.
And that skyrocketed me into bringing my personality to people. And it started our friendship. It started our friend Sam. Keeping in touch with him, Steve Mary, I reaching out to my brother who I didn't talk to a lot in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Having a relationship with him, talking to my father, talking to my mother, like I created a lot of relationships just because of that moment. And that was the beginning of it.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
what we're kind of talking about with the friendship. You kind of gotta get out of your own shell. Like your phone's there to distract you, but it's also there to create friendships.
Yeah, and that's so key. I think if you're somebody that's younger than us, so if you're a millennial listening to this, or anyone of the any future generation that you feel all by yourself and you feel scared, like go out there. It is okay. You never know who you're going to run into.
Yeah.
That's going to help change your life for the better, right? I mean, at the end of the day.
Or even so I like, I like the perspective. I like Matt because we don't have the same view. We have the same morals. We don't have the same.
We don't have the same views, but that's okay.
And that makes it awesome.
Yeah.
Because I get to see it from a completely different perspective, and he gets to see it from and we meld well with that. That would be my advice with this, like decline in friends, is reach out.
Yes.
To anybody.
Yeah.
Reach out to us.
Yeah. Doesn't matter. We have a comment section.
Talking gmail.com.
Yeah.
Comment section. If
we'll throw that up there right now. Is it TwoNoobsTalking@gmail.com, right, for our email address?
Yep.
Throw that up there on the screen. So if you ever want to reach out and touch base with us, we're happy to reach out.
Leave us a comment on YouTube if you're feeling lonely, or like this brings us to our happy segment. But this, if anybody ever needs anything that is listening to this, you never need anything. I'm not talking about money or a place to stay. I'm talking about like advice or a listening ear.
Exactly.
Not ridiculous.
No, yeah, exactly. We're not going to be that crazy. Yeah, exactly. Unless you're going to pay us, but okay.
If you need to talk to someone, leave a comment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or email us.
Yeah, we're always happy. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, leading into the happy, Johnny, I mean, this is really, I'm glad you found this. This is an amazing thing.
I'm glad too. This
news.
Just keep it on the God stuff. This is God's grace. This is why it took so long to get 35 out.
No doubt.
I think this was the moment.
This was the moment. Yeah, talk about the suicide prevention hotline. So I'm going to go ahead and just quick share my screen one more time and play the video. Here we go.
Please do.
If it wants to play.
It might.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. What the heck's going on here? It's not playing. Anyway, I don't know why it's not playing. But anyway.
Well, we'll just talk about it.
We'll just talk about it real quick. With the two noobs moment right there.
Exactly. We don't need him to do reporting first. So what?
Suicide prevention hotline. Yeah, Johnny, go ahead.
North Carolina, they have just put legislation in that the suicide hotline is going to be on student IDs from middle school to college.
Yeah.
California, Idaho, there's a couple other. I think this needs to be, the reason I want to bring this up is this needs to be all 50 states.
I agree.
Literally, and it needs absolutely doesn't need to be just on student IDs. This needs to be on work IDs. This needs to be readily available. We will put the suicide hotline up on the screen right now.
Yep.
And we will put it in our show notes, and we will try to put it out as much as we can. I know I this is a passion of mine. This is something that I deal with regularly.
Yep.
Sometimes I'm not in my own head, and it sucks. But I have friends that keep me very, very wife also.
Yeah. We got to keep you grounded, John. You know what I'm saying?
It's a big thing.
But it's a huge issue. Yeah.
It needs to be on driver's license.
Yeah.
And we will talk more about this, but it needs to be on driver's license, student IDs. It needs to be readily available.
Yeah.
And we also did a thing early on. The suicide hotline is going to go to a 3-digit number.
I'm glad you brought that up.
2022.
Yeah.
I'll try to find that article so we can get it in the show notes, which that was awesome. That's actually President Trump.
Yeah.
I'll give him all the credit.
All the credit in the world for that. Yeah.
From President Trump.
Yeah, that's loving your neighbor right there.
Exactly. And
that you don't have to dial 10 numbers, you could dial 3.
It's so important. We've talked about it before, but just my personal story, it's very important.
Yeah.
It's very important to readily make that you don't know what kind of day you're going to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a thing.
But there are people that are out there that are willing to listen and help you and pray for you and encourage you and come alongside you. And you are willing to carry that burden alongside you. And I think that's so important for people that are really struggling with life, with the pandemic.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's been on a lot of people's minds. Who knows how many have committed suicide over the course of this year and a half, John? I mean, it's like
suicide rate doubled.
Yeah.
Doubled in 2020.
It was a concern. It was a concern when I was bringing up with my Bible study, with my brothers and, my Christian brothers. And it was just like, the repercussions of all of these lockdowns, thinking that we're saving lives. Well, we're not. We're not.
No, because
this is really important for people to, we'll throw it up there. Absolutely. The hotline's been up there, but it's really important for you to.
Here's a question just for deep thinking on our way out. Yeah, I know it was supposed to be a happy segment, but it's a very important segment.
But it's good. Yeah.
Just look at the COVID numbers and then add the suicide numbers.
Yeah.
And that's what lockdowns and socialism does.
Yeah.
To people.
Yep.
Your tactics are terrible.
Yeah.
But that's a happy segment because we need to know that, and we need to say that out loud. We need to have these discussions.
Absolutely.
And I'm all about it. If anybody wants to have a discussion why they think socialism works, please.
Bring it on.
We'd be glad to talk about that.
Bring it on. Yeah. As always, Johnny, though, what a great episode, right? I mean, it's just fantastic. Yeah. That wraps it up, man. Episode 45 of Two Noobs Talking. Why don't we hit our socials first?
Yeah, we're getting graphics this week, so that's going to be awesome. So we are on Facebook, Instagram, not really, but we try to be. On Facebook,
yeah, we're getting there.
TikTok and Clapper. We just try to do short videos. TikTok is a long video. We get 3-minute videos because TikTok likes us, apparently.
Love it.
We'll put this one out. We'll definitely do that last segment. To go to our main channel, which is...
Yeah, it's definitely in our YouTube channel, of course. Two Noobs Talking Podcast. And, of course, we would love it if you like, share, and subscribe. It's very
Subscribe is so important. You give us more clout with...
Heck, even ring that damn notification bell. That's, like, right here somewhere, I think.
I know you don't want to, and you don't have to. But that sub button really does help us. It gets us good traction.
No doubt about that. Yeah, but of course, we also not only do we have it on the video side, we also have the audio side, Johnny, and we're on a lot of individual audio platforms.
We do a ton. Podbean is our host.
Yep.
They do a really good job of getting us out to Apple, Spotify, which I think royally sucks. But if you're listening on Spotify, I apologize for saying that. We're on Google Podcast. You can search us on Google Chrome. We're on Lav.
Yeah.
We're on Anything you can search us. I think it's Two Noobs Talking.
Podcast, I think, right? Yeah, I think we hit the
podcast.
Google search. Yeah, so which is really great.
Just Google search that or put that into any of your audio. It just pops up immediately, which is awesome. I never thought it'd be Google searchable.
Yeah. And then here we are, over the course of our lovely show notes, not only just one page, but 2 pages. You can find them TwoNoobsTalking.wordpress.com. Of course, if you enter in your email address when you hit that wonderful little link.
I want to show you before I go. I did it on my phone.
Oh, there you go.
See it, but I had the show notes on my
Bam, there you go.
I didn't have them printed out this week. I did it from my phone.
There you go. So if you just go there, enter in your email address, those show notes show up in your inbox the very next day. Links to all the articles we referenced, links to Joe Rogan's
articles we didn't reference,
clip, articles we didn't reference. They're all in there. We want you to critically think. Think 30,000 feet. Johnny,
make it.
Episode 45's in the can, brother.
Make it. I heard you make it.
There you go.
See, the audio got better.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have anything final to say before we get out of here?
Yes, we're still in the rabbit hole. We'll keep digging.
You know, I kind of like it down here. It's a little dirty, but I think we'll do all right.
We'll be fine.
Yeah. Talk to y'all next week. Take care.
This country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by a bunch of idiots. Why do the members of the United States Senate continue to double down on stupid?